So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Kurdish Room. Today we are going to talk about the KRG after the referendum, in search of a new modus operandi, learning from Israel. Please sit down, take a seat. You are the most welcome. Before starting the panel discussion, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Bakir Lashkari. I'm living for about 43 years in the Netherlands. I came as a refugee directly with some Kurdish people during the uprising of Aylul with Mustafa Barzani. You can imagine as a refugee when you are 20 years old, the only thing you want to do is, as a 20 years old, to build something for yourself. Because if you are not able to learn the language, to learn the society, you can also not be able to serve your own people. That's why I'm very glad that you are all here, and we are going to have an open discussion. So please, open the curtains, and don't worry, because I'm liberal. I know a little bit about politics, but I don't want to be involved too much, but I have my own idea. I'd like to introduce you the panel. The panel is Mr. Mirza from the Yezidi, I don't like to use the name of minority. He's my Kurdish friend. Welcome. I always call Ofra as my grandmother, but she's also the grandmother of the Kurdish people, because she's been writing a number of books on the Kurds, and sometimes when there are discussions, it looks like she's more Kurdish than I do. Welcome. Next to Ofra, I'll call her my sister, Margarita. She was the former Director of the Gulf from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel. Welcome. As always, last but not the least, I found 2-3 days ago a new friend. Is Mr. Nassan Akram. He's actually originally from Afrin. He's a Kurdistani. And he is helping the people around the world, the refugees, but you are the most welcome. I would like to give each panel member 10 minutes. You don't need to introduce yourself. So what you can do is just based on the topics, how to democratize the system in the KRG. You have all, I think, the papers. Reinvigorating the socio-economic and education system, the status of minorities in the KRG, because we say Kurdistan, but we call the people Kurdistanis, because we don't want to discriminate. This is our idea how to approach as a diaspora. As a diaspora in Europe, we say Kurdistanis. Is Kurdish independence still on the table? That's a big question, to be or not to be. the KRG delicate balancing play between the US and Russia, how to achieve a UN observer status, membership in international organizations like the Palestinian. Why not? Good question. I would like to give the floor first to my friend Mirza. Please. You can also come to the catheter. I'm very strict.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very much, but maybe for the organizatory, because I used to speak in the second session. I think this is working.
Is it okay? Yeah, all right. Yeah, everybody? All right. Go ahead.
I have fortunately to replace my previous boss, Dr. Mohamed Ihsan, that I worked with more than 3 years in the board of the General Board for Disputed Areas. And actually, about the current topic, maybe we have to ask ourselves first, it's a logical question. It was legitimate for the Kurdish community, for Kurdistan to make referendum? This is the first question that we have to ask ourselves. And we say, yes, it is a natural right of the Kurdish people after all these years to be inside a fake country like Iraq. But the next question, did we manage it very well? Unfortunately not, because of the geopolitical issue in Kurdistan. Now we are living in a very maybe narrow road. We have to decide to collaborate with Iraq. We saw in the last days that the previous president of KRG, Mr. Barzani, visited Iraq to start a new line or maybe new negotiations to secure the rights of the Kurdish people in KRG. The current situation in KRG, I think we need big reforms in Kurdistan, especially in the democratization process, especially in the human rights process. And this is what the KRG need now, actually, for the next step. According to the minority rights, we know that in Kurdistan there are seats in the quota seats in parliament for the national minorities like Turkmen and Christian. Unfortunately, there is no, for the Yezidi, for example, that I'm speaking about, there is no quota seats. We hope to promote this for the next election in Kurdistan, to have a special quota for the Yezidi members in the parliament in Kurdistan too. The lack of democratization in Kurdistan that we are suffering from, unfortunately, and the whole previous administrative problems in Iraq that we adopted from Iraq especially, this is this lack of management in Kurdistan. It is the biggest problem and barrier toward development of Kurdistan for the next time. Now the current situation, we don't, for the next government, we have a new constellation of the Kurdish government. We have a main party now, and maybe it is easier for Kurdistan now to make easier decisions. But how we can do that, as for my point of view, I think we need first to calculate our mistakes from the previous time first, as a people, as a leadership of Kurdistan, to calculate again what we did in the last 13 years and what you have to do for the next 4 years or for the next 10 years, and how we can manage with Iraq now, with a new Iraq after the new election. This is also a big question that we couldn't add. So I could say it is a transitional period for our community now, as in general in Kurdistan, and this transitional period could have also many positive steps toward to establishment of more institutions in Kurdistan, and this is the step that we are standing now. Thank you very much. I don't like to take more time for that, but we will open the discussion for any.
All right.
Thanks.
5 minutes. Yes. Yes, Afra, please. Later on, we will start some discussions and asking some questions from the audience. So don't worry, you can also ask the questions in Kurdish.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
I've been working on the Kurdish issue since I don't know when. So I'm very optimistic in spite of all the crises that you have been undergoing. I'm maybe more optimistic than any Kurd here in this room and elsewhere. So what I'll be talking about is about the United States and the Kurds. And I'll ask some very tough questions. I'm not expecting moral values from the United States, but I'll ask about the interest of the United States. And my question will be, did U.S. Kurdish policy serve American interests? Are the Kurds indeed the cause of instability in the region? On balance, what was more destructive for American interests in the Middle East, the Kurds or the states, all the states? And the last one, is the Unified States vision still feasible for Syria, for Iraq? So, conventional wisdom has it that the Kurds are the source of instability in the region. If you read the newspapers and the sources, you will always see that the Kurds are the source of instability. And this is the question that we need to ask. Are they really the source of instability? If we compare to Iraq, the Iraqi state, who was the source of instability in the last 40 years in Iraq? Was it the Kurds or was it the Iraqi state? Was it the Iraqi state who opened war against Iran, against the Kuwait, and against the Kurds, all these wars? And where were the Kurds in this situation? Who was the cause of the rise of Daesh in this region?
Tough questions.
Yes?
Yes,
No,
go
I
ahead.
haven't finished. I have still long way to go.
Can you please repeat the questions, because there are some new guests. They
Again,
might be
the
very
whole-
much
the whole
interested.
4 questions?
No, the 4 questions, because
Okay.
by repeating, it means that you have to keep in mind that they are very important, please.
Okay, so my first question, did U.S. Kurdish policy serve American interests? The second one, are the Kurds indeed the source of instability in the region, or maybe the states? And on balance, what was more destructive for American interests? The Kurds or the Middle East, the Kurds or the state? And the last one, is the unified state vision, which now still, the main mantra by the United States, is it still feasible or not? So these are the questions. I'll try to answer some of them, but it is for you to carry them on when you are trying to talk to your counterparts in the United States, in other places. You have to bring these questions into the main, discussion in order to see what is true and what is false, because this is very important. So for the first question about the conventional wisdom, has it that the Kurds were the source of instability in the region? My answer, of course not. The source of instability are the states, especially in Iraq. If we go all over these years from the Iraqi-Iranian war, the Kuwaiti war, and then all the wars against the Kurds, it was the state who carried these, terrible wars. And who was the cause of the instability since 2003? Was it the Kurds or the Iraqi government who couldn't, just try to integrate the Sunnis, to try to find solutions. So the state was the cause of Daesh and all the troubles that came afterwards. And this is the point that we need to remember. By contrast, in the last 25 years, the Kurds were, I'm talking about kind of a comparison. If we compare Kurdistan to Iraq, we can say that the Kurdish area was the most prosperous, the most stable, and it is still, in spite of all the crisis that has occurred in the region. And it was the Peshmerga which was fighting all the way against the Daesh, and it was thanks to them that Daesh was actually, contained. I wouldn't say finished, this is the problem, but it was thanks to the Peshmerga that the Daesh was contained. Why? The Iraqi army collapsed altogether. You know it, I don't have to tell you, but it is always, you have to tell it again and again, because we, the Kurds, we sacrificed in order to keep this country against, Daesh. And you have to date, and this is the power which kept Iraq from collapsing totally. But in the meantime, the US has paid heavily for its support of Baghdad. It paid trillions and trillions of dollars, we cannot remember even, in order to keep something, to keep this Iraq as an Iraq. It has sacrificed more than 4,000 soldiers in Iraq in order to keep it united. And they still going and paying more and more heavily for this vision of the mantra of, keeping Arab Iraq together. And how in the meantime they treat the Kurds, the Americans? Unfortunately, they did not treat them well at all. While they gave so much, all these strengths and all the others, things to Iraq, the Kurds have got so little. And not only they didn't give them directly, they gave it through Baghdad, so that Baghdad, whenever it didn't want, and it didn't want, so the, weapons didn't reach the Kurds. And I'm not talking about financing any of the important things, and I'm not talking of the fact that no one American soldier was killed in Kurdistan. And still the Americans seem not to see what is going on and the difference. When Baghdad failed to fulfill some 50 paragraphs of the Constitution, the Americans turned blind eye. They didn't see, they didn't know. When things started to break, actually, relations between Baghdad and Erbil, again, the Americans didn't play any important role.
Who do you blame for that?
I blame the Americans. Of course, you can blame the Kurds as well, because, for a tango you need two, but this is the Americans. And even worse, when the referendum, they carried the referendum, then we saw that the US, it opposed it, in a very smart way. It didn't say no, it didn't say yes, but it helped actually which is worse, maybe Hashd al-Shabi, and the
It's
others,
a new one.
yeah, the others to attack Kirkuk, etc. So, I'm talking all the time about American interests. How did this serve American interests? Yeah, well, it brought Soleimani and Iran even more strongly into the Kurdish area, into Soleimani and other places, and gave them actually the power to decide what's going on in Iraq. And in this way, it lost much of its power in Iraq itself. So what were the results of this? That Iran, America's sworn enemy, interpreted American stance as a weakness, and it could use it for itself. The other point is that the disputed territories, which were more or less stabilized under the KRG, now we are seeing what's going on. It's almost we are going again into and maybe the next Daesh or whatever you call it. And the last one is the Daesh, as I said, managed to return to the area in different, guises and different names, etc. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think that an integrated Iraq as envisioned in Baghdad is not possible. Yes, you have to live together, but in my opinion, it is not going to happen because, in my opinion, we are talking about two nationalities, two nationalism, and the Americans do not conceive of it as two nationalisms. So when you have two nationalisms, the other nationalism is also to have its place. So, in my opinion, if still the Americans want to go into integration, what it can do, it can serve better by making sure that Baghdad respects its responsibilities. At least this, okay, you want to have an integrated state, you want to have the federation, please make it respect, because in this way it will serve much better your interest, because a stable country will serve your interest rather than a place where all the time the war hovers about Kurdistan. Now I have a few and another last point maybe on this issue in Iraq. Even if it wants the United States, there will be a time when it will want to withdraw its forces from Iraq. Will it not be wiser to have some, real ally? Because the Shias will not be real allies. They have to be, integrated, or they have to listen to Iran. They must be under some influence of Iran. Yes, there is a Sadr, they tell me. There are some other people who are more different. But in my opinion, for the longer run, the Shias will be more veering towards Iran rather than the United States. Now, if you may allow me a few words about the Kurds in Syria.
Yeah, sure, and also about
I don't want to
Rojhelat also, Kurdistan of, let's say, occupied by Iran.
By Iran. Okay, but I'll do very quickly with the Kurds in Syria. The U.S. has different, interests in Syria. On the one hand, you can say, okay, the United States has to go with the state, either with Turkey, because in the longer run its interest with Turkey, either with Syria, because it believes that Syria one day will turn to be the big Syria, or what they used to believe.
So there is a dilemma for the Kurdish people.
And it's a dilemma. I don't think they are in a dilemma because they are not in a position to decide. Maybe at the very end, but I can say it now. In my opinion, the only solution for the Kurds of Syria right now, as I see it, is not to depend on the United States, not on Russia. It has to find a way to make its peace with Assad. Unfortunately, this is the only way. As I see it, I might be wrong. I would like to hear what you think about it. But just a few moments before, I would like to add a few things. The problem with the United States is that it is working with the Kurds as a non-state actor. But the Kurds in Syria are not just a simple non-state actor like Hamas, like others. This is a very positive force. Of course, the Kurds who are against, this force would say no. But anyway, the United States does see how important the role of the YPG and the PYD in Syria. So, as I say, the American interest might be, in my opinion, better served in the longer run if they stick to their partnership with the Kurds. They can kill in this way 4 birds in one stone. The first bird is, of course, to balance Russia, because Russia is all over Syria, and if they want to do it, they will have the only power which can, balance it is only the Kurds. The second bird is, of course, Turkey. Yes, Turkey and the United States have a lot of interest, etc. But still, I think the United States feel that it needs to balance Turkey, because in the past we saw that Turkey did not support American. In 2003, it was Turkey which did not let the American use Incirlik in the fighting, and also it didn't use it afterwards against YPG, and it was the Kurds in Iraq who actually helped the United States. So in order to balance Turkey, this point is very important. The other point is to stop the role to Iran. Iran is moving all the way. I've just heard that they are trying to mobilize forces from the Syrians themselves in order to increase their power in Syria. So this is very important to have the Kurds as a barrier. And of course, the last one against Daesh. Daesh, again, as I said, has not disappeared.
What can we learn from Israel? Because Israel has also an interest in this situation because of Iran is very active in Syria.
We learned that we cannot rely on the Americans because the Hezbollah is right on our northern front, and we tried to mobilize the Americans for this point, and we didn't. I'm not saying that you are not going to mobilize the Americans. You should try, but you have to keep these ideas in your mind. And the last point on this maybe, I think the Americans can use their power in order to try and contain their ambition to attack the Rojava. They can do it, and they must do it, in my opinion, because if they manage just with the little, things to release Brunson from Turkey, I think if they put enough pressure, and if you put pressure enough on the Americans, there is a point there. And finally, on this point, Syria might remain for a long time a failed state. And if it is a failed state, then there is a need for any power to try and balance the situation. About the Kurds of Iran, I didn't prepare, but I am willing to say that this is a lost opportunity for the Americans. They could have, for a long time, just aligned themselves with the Kurds of Iran. I think they are the most intellectuals and the most leading power. The Kurds of Iran, you see them in Europe, in other places, and they are paying very heavily for this failure of the Americans. We hear every day on a new Kurd who is being hanged in Iran and other things, and even when they tried now to oppose, to send something, some forces, guerrilla forces into Iran, they didn't get enough support from the Americans, so we see them again paying the price of all the other parts. About the Kurds of Turkey, well, we will talk later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you can see it's quite complicated, the Kurdish, Yeah, but there are some people they are translating for each other. Yeah. I'm sorry, because we have to carry on. This is an English and the Kurdish. They can also translate something to each other. Yes. I would like to give the floor to Margalit, please. There are some people are translating, which I'm very happy for that. Yeah. So, all right.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
I'll try to give some proposals for the Kurdish people how to receive this UN observer status membership. Do you hear me? Okay. Well, the main problem. I will take this. Okay. The main problem of the Kurds is the attitude of countries in the international community towards the Kurdish issue. These countries consider the Kurdish issue as a secondary problem in their strategic and political affairs. History has taught us that when the Kurds need real support in gaining a little progress on their long way towards independence, the Western countries turn their head the other way. For example, the Kurdish region did not get any support from Western countries for the referendum, even after bleeding in the war against ISIS, defeating it and controlling over important territories populated by Kurds such as Kirkuk. The results of the Kurdish referendum are well known. In order to achieve a UN observer status, the Kurds need political support from the majority of UN members. In the short term, the Kurds will not get the political support they need because it means a step toward independence, but they can achieve the observer status in the long run. Therefore, the Kurds need to focus on achieving a UN observer status as their main goal. To achieve this goal, they need to start a serious campaign to raise awareness about the Kurdish issue and preserve it all the time. It will put them on the international map. It can take years to plan a roadmap and implement it. The Middle East is dynamic. The goal of Western countries is preserving unification in Iraq. The Kurds may remain in Iraq for many years. They need to show continuity of their activity and not get into stagnation. The Kurds must start with practical steps to achieve their short-term goals and from there gain progress to achieve their long-term goals. The Kurds can raise a campaign for strengthening their identity by distributing their legacy. For example, the Kurds have their own resources, assets, legacy, myth, thousands of years of history. They can start with building an archive and present in it stories, memories, and even recipes. By doing that, it will be impossible to ignore them, and they will acquire many friends. The Kurds can also join non-state organizations that can help them in developing the Kurdish region. Their activity will be meaningful, help them progress and raise awareness about the Kurdish issue. For example, an organization connected to the World Bank, such as World Bank's Sustainable Cities Initiative. A city like Erbil can choose to join this organization, yet it must comply with the conditions of the World Bank. Cities that promote economic, social, and environmental change can join this organization, and Erbil is surely capable of this. Other organizations the Kurds can join are organizations that act for peace, such as International Cities of Peace. Since the Kurds define themselves as people of peace, they deserve to join this organization. Just remember, the Kurdish region hosted refugees from Syria and Iraq during the occupation of ISIS and also held the balance between Shiites and Sunnis in Iraqi governments. This organization, International Cities of Peace, includes cities that dedicate to expand their local peace economy and encourage a global culture of peace, safety, prosperity, and quality of life. It is not a funding organization, but can point to funding sources. The Kurds need to show current initiatives and inspire future generations for practical peace building. No city in the world is 100% peaceful, but what's important is the intention to work toward becoming a more peaceful community. Additional proposals I can give you for achieving the goal of observer status in UN: working together with Kurdish diaspora and strengthening the ties with it, distributing Kurdish education among the Kurds in diaspora, also representing the Kurdish people wherever they are in front of Western countries. The Kurds can think also of establishing a financial fund for the implementation of their roadmap. So hopefully it will happen.
Margalit, thank you very much. So we need to reorganize ourselves inside and outside. And sometimes it's a long way to Piccadilly Circle. Nevertheless, we will carry on. And I think the way to the United States is very important, and I'm happy that you are telling this. Next week, Tuesday, I will be at the AU for the Liberal Party, talking about the migration and also the role of diaspora, especially also about the minorities in the Middle East, including the Kurdish people. Now we are going to move to Mr. Kag Akram. He will speak Kirmanji, and I think Kag Mirza will translate into English. Yes? Please, can you sit down next to him sometimes so well? Slowly, slowly, but surely. So now we have a Kurdish Kirmanji.
کنگره آلمانی اسرائیلی خش سرسرادو بیجم و زور کیف خوشم که پارچه کردی تیدو هبت.
I'm very happy to participate in it's a German Israel Congress, and I'm so happy that from all parts of Kurdistan are participating in that Congress.
جبو همین نیوانا دو بیجم سرسره من سرچاوه من.
All the guests, you are welcome here.
با آلمانی گوتن تاک. به نیوانا با اسرائیل بیجم بکر توف. آنزم من راستی گوت من نگوت. و بکردیجی سرسره من سرچاوه من همیاتنا.
You are welcome.
از سیاست چی که دورم.
I'm a little bit far away from the politics. Excuse me if I speak about that.
سیاست چی که دورم. بدخوازم که لشکری و از کردستانی ما.
But as just like Mr. Lashkari said, I am a Kurdistani.
راسته. و ادخوازم سر عفرین با خود از حال که عفرینم.
I would like especially speak about Afrin because I am from there.
و نه پولیتیک ادخوازم سر کلتور عفرین با.
Not in the political view, but in the cultural view.
هیتیتا، نیاندرتالا، بیزانس، روم،
The Hittites, the Neanderthal, the Romans, the Greece,
یونان،
the Greeks, yeah?
بیزانس،
the
روم،
Byzantines.
همیل وربون.
All of these cultures were there.
همی ریچ خو هشتن، کلتور خو ما.
All of them have their remaining there and parts of their culture there.
و ام همی نتایج و کلتورینا.
And all of us are the product of all this mixture of such cultures.
geopolitiek کردستان زور گوره و زور گرینگه.
The geopolitics of Kurdistan is so important and huge,
دولمنده.
and it's very rich.
آب،
We have water,
غاز،
we have gas,
پترول
and oil,
و گنمه.
and we have white.
وش 1921 تا ایرو هر دم شره.
Okay.
1921 تا ایرو هر دم شره.
Since 1921, there is every time war in this area.
دولت ترک و شرق خب همه جهان را هست.
The Turkish regime, they have war with everybody in the world.
عراق
Iraq,
بس
the same.
خدا رو حرب نکریه. او جنو
Iraq,
دست بکر.
only they didn't have war with God. He did.
ایران ذات اعوذ بالله.
And Iran is the same.
سوریا بلبنان رب اردن رب اسرائیل
Syria
رب.
with Lebanon, with the Jordan, with Israel, with everybody.
اف حربنا هر سال جیلی که هنداده به.
In every war of them, we lose one of the generation.
نه عمر نه سال هنداده به جیل هنداده به.
Not only 1 year, we lose one generation.
اف هفتی سال هشتی سال ام دشاریدانا.
We are since 70 or 80 years in the war.
و نتیجه وی شاریدا کاتاستروفی دما کوارث دما زیده بون.
The result of these wars, we have bigger catastrophes, we have tsunamis.
کردستان عراق 10 جورا خرابویه.
The Kurdistan region of Iraq is destroyed several times.
کردستان ترکیه 6 بازار عدد روت بون.
Kurdistan of Turkey, the same. 6 main cities have been completely destroyed.
یک جوان سور آمد بازاری که انتیک بود.
The in Ahmed, one of the ancient cities, completely destroyed.
شونه به حرباجی دمینت سه پروبلم گور فکر من یک ماین
The result of these wars, there are three from my point of view. One of them existence.
سنیر ترکیه و سوریا 800 کیلومتر دریج بین و 150 تو 200 متر پام بین.
Between Syria and Turkey, there are 800 kilometer and 200 kilometer depth. It can.
ماین الان
Okay. The mines. We have the problem of the mines in these areas.
ترکیه عرض خب ماین کریه.
Turkey, they mine their land themselves.
شهر کردستان عراق و شهر عراق و ایران تلتکی عرض نزدیک 5 میلیون ماین هنه لکردستان.
We have in Kurdistan about 5 million mines on the ground.
پروبلم دوم آواره.
And we have refugees.
آواره ما حمید چادر دانا.
Our refugees are living still in the tents.
و یک سال چادر، 2 سال چادر، 3 سال چادر.
Since several years they are living in those tents.
ام جنراسیون رو چه دکن عالمین بس جیانی چادر.
Several generations are grown in these tents.
یعنی ام جیانی نورمال ام دردخل.
We pick them, we take them out from the normal life to such places in the tent and camp.
زور کسی اولی کار مکر.
Many people has helped our community.
و از پاسی حمیاد کم.
I would like to thank all of them who supported
به ناو نخوشی ما.
in the name of our suffering,
به ناو بریندار ما.
in the name of our injured people.
و به ناو او خلق دربندی خان و سلیمانی او زلزال مال و خرابوی و مکانی دیس آوا بکرم.
In the name of those people from Darbandi Khan and Suleimania, whom we rebuilt their houses.
بومن اولا اولی کاریه.
It was not help for this humanitarian
او
issue.
مسئولیت.
It is a responsibility.
مسئولیت محمیای.
And the responsibility of all,
به تایبت ایما ام کرد دیاسپورا.
especially the Kurds of diaspora.
گرنگ کن بیاک بد.
We should be unified.
ام اولی کاری خوب مسئولیت رو.
And we should help with responsibility, with the soul of responsibility.
دستک به تنه نکنه چپ بده.
No one alone can do the job.
از ایوید که مسری و نیشوند.
Thank you very much. I hope that it didn't disturb me.
و اگر پرسنل از آمادم.
If you have any question, I am ready
زور
to.
سپاس.
Thank you very much, Kag Akram. I was listening to you last 2 days. I never get enough from your stories. Thank you very much. I have only 1 or 2 questions for the panel before going to the audience. Is still the referendum on the table for the Kurds? Just say yes or no, and I say why and why not, or yes.
I didn't understand the question.
Again. Is Kurdish independence still on the table? Not under the table, but on the table. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And the other one? Yes or no?
For the main goal, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so.
Excuse me, I will speak a little bit.
Yeah, what he said. Yeah. Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, and you?
Yeah, for every time you know, because the natural right of the people who are suffering since hundreds of years under occupation.
Okay.
But how, this is the question.
The question is, this is an emotional answer, but what is the reality? Ofra, can you tell us some more about the reality?
I'm too emotional, so I cannot answer. But I think you have to find one ally which you will be able to convince him of the possibility of independence. So your first ally is yourself. The Kurds themselves, they have, I keep repeating it again and again, but everybody of you is repeating it. You have to unite. But the second, partner for you is, I think, in my opinion, it's the United States. If you manage to convince the United States that you, as a nation, has the right to have a state of its own, and that its interests, that it will serve its interests, then I think there is a way at the end of the tunnel to see the way to independence.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't find such an ally, you will be moving again and again. The third possibility still, I have a third possibility. I don't know how you can manage to, as in the Sudan, when Sudan found out that it cannot go on fighting the South, it itself decided to go for its independence. In my opinion, if you manage to convince Baghdad in one way or another, either by force or by talks or by the two together, then you have a partner who willingly will be maybe willing to give independence or to agree at least to have a strong confederation which will give the Kurds a place on the earth.
But the point is, if you want to get divorced, then the other party should say yes or no. But if you have such a rich land and beautiful people, how do you think that the other party will say, go ahead, have your independence?
It's the same in South Sudan.
South and
Sudan, they
North.
have oil,
Yeah.
They are in the close, they don't have exit to the sea.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are a lot of similarities between
Absolutely.
South
But
Sudan.
don't you think that
we
the
have to bring this idea of South Sudan to the United States as well, because the United States played a very, very crucial role in South Sudan. It helped the referendum there. It supported its independence. You have to play on it. You have to bring examples to show the Americans that it is in their interest to do it.
Yeah, but the Kurdish people are repeating the same mistakes the Kurdish leaders actually about 100 years. And if you look at the current situation, do you think how do you describe, one of you, just before going to the an audience, the current situation, what's going in Baghdad, is it temporary, or do you think that we are going to have a golden deal with Baghdad?
You want me all to answer all the questions?
Yes, please, because you are the most...
All the burden on me.
Yes.
I'm so small and,
You are so small, but you are from Israel, very intelligent, and we need to learn something from Israel.
Okay, I think it depends if the new prime minister will manage to stay in power. It seems to me that as long he seems willing to go along with some understanding with the Kurds for his own reasons, but I don't know if he will. He didn't finish yet to have his cabinet.
He hasn't started yet.
Missing eight cabinet members. So I don't know. It seems to me like writing on water.
Okay.
What the agreements with Barzani.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay. Can I go to the audience, if you permit me? And yes, please, Drew. Wait.
I have a question to Margalit. You spoke about a very interesting idea, getting the observer status at the UN. Okay, so for Kurdistan being an observer at the United Nations, which will be a step on the independence. But which Kurdistan? From Iraq, from Turkey, from Iran, from Syria?
I talked about Iraq. I talked about Iraq only, but it's a long way.
Okay.
I think the Kurds must take their fate into their hands, their own hands, and do not rely on anybody, on any state. I think they have to maybe to make a meeting to invite thinking people, Kurdish thinking people, and to start preparing a working plan. what I called a roadmap, what to do step by step, not to jump into the hot water immediately and ask U.S. for supporting the independence. No, it will not work for the time being. So they have to do everything step by step. Their activity will be, their activity will have a meaning, something for them. So they can start with small steps, like joining non-state organizations. But they have to fulfill the conditions of it.
Don't you think that we need also a campaign like, there was an idea before, why don't we hire Gorbachev to defend the Kurdish case? So you need someone which is not a Kurd, but what do you think about that idea?
No, I think the Kurds must decide about themselves. First to make this working plan, and then to decide what to do with it.
First get united.
For example, start with a campaign, a serious campaign. For example, Ana Kurdi, I don't know what, yes, I'm Kurdish.
Yeah,
Like,
united.
like this, yes.
United Kurdish Front.
And you have also to publish your stories, but everywhere to approach the press in the world, not only in Iraq, not only in certain states, in the world, in Western world.
Actually, in this context,
Okay, please, go ahead. Yeah.
In this context, especially if the Kurds are able to have their own representative, unfortunately, there is a very important part in the Iraqi constitution that we didn't use until now. According to the Iraqi institution, KRG has the possibility to announce in every Iraqi embassy a representative of KRG. And they can actually use this instrument. It is a legal instrument. You can use it in the representative of the UN. You can use it in the representative to the EU. But unfortunately, because of our mistakes, and we don't know, we couldn't use that, and we decided to stay outside of the Iraqi embassy. Maybe the next step, because we have new constellation of the Iraqi-Kurdish relationship. And maybe we can use this also in the debate to have the Kurdish representative in everywhere, in every single international organization to have their representative. This is a very good constitutional opportunity if we can use that.
Okay, Kak Hussein, can you? Yeah. You have followed, I think this is about 1.5 hour. Or, what do you think about the Kurdish case and about the referendum? Because you've been, as a Peshmerga commander, fighting the Ajd al-Sha'bi and to prevent them to come to attack the Kurds near Purde. Can you please tell us what is wise to do? And don't be afraid, what the Kurdish leaders are making mistakes. Again and again and again.
Can you stand there?
Yeah, of course.
ڕۆژتان باش لە ڕاستیدا ئێوە لەسەر کەیسێکی زۆر گرنگ قسە دەکەن.
You are talking and discussing about a very sensitive issue.
بەڵام کەیسێکە چەندین ڕەهەندی هەیە.
But it's a case that has many aspects.
زۆر زەحمەتە من بتوانم لە مفتەکەمەدا بە تەواوەتی کەیسێکە منیش تاوتو
It's
بکەم.
very difficult for me to make you understand and see each aspect of.
تەنیا دەتوانم ڕێک لە سەر دیێڕەکان ڕێک لە ناونیشانەکان باس.
But I just can tell you about the main topics.
من پرسیارەکەم ئەوەیە بۆ ئێلیت و بۆ سیاسەمەدارانی ئەمریکا و ئوروپایی و
My question for the US officials, the West and Europeans is that
ئێوە لە عێراق چیتان کرد؟
what did you do in Iraq?
ئێوە سەدام حوسێنتان ڕووخاند؟
you collapsed Saddam's regime.
هەلو مەرجێکتان دروست کرد کە خەڵک دەنجی خۆی و قسەی خۆی بەرز
You
بکاتەوە.
made an opportunity for democracy and the people's what people want in Iraq.
بەڵام لە کۆتاییدا عێراقتان خستە بەر داگیرکردنی کۆنتڕۆڵی ئێران.
But at the end, you made Iran come take over Iraq.
لە ڕاستیدا ئێستا عێراقێک وەک دەوڵەتێکی سەربەخۆ خاوەن سەروەری نەماوە.
In reality, it's an Iraq without sovereignty and a decision-making Iraq.
عێراق بە سیاسەتەکانیشیەوە بە کۆمەڵگارکەشیەوە بە ئەمنیەت و ئاسایشیەوە بە ئابووریشیەوە بووەتە بەشێک لە کۆڵۆنیەکی ئێرانی.
Iraq has been starting to be a colony of Iran if you look at it from the economic aspect, the social aspect, the cultural and even the political.
ئەو کوردەی کە دۆستی ئەمریکا بوو لە ڕووخاندنی سەدام حوسێندا
Kurds were friends with America during the 2003, what happened in Iraq.
و 3 ساڵ شەڕی داعشی کرد
And we fought ISIS for 3 years.
و هەموو جیهان بە ئازایەتی کورد و پێشمەرگە سەری سوورما بوو.
And everyone was astonished by the role of Peshmerga and Kurds against ISIS and terrorism.
ئێستا تەنیا هەولێری بەدەستەوە ماوە.
It has left only with Erbil.
و هەولێریش لە تەوقی ئێراندایە.
And surrounding Erbil is Iran and manipulating.
تەنیا یەک سەرکردەی ماوە نەچێتە بن سیاسەتەکانی ئێرانەوە.
There is only one leader who is left with own decision making and who has not given up to Iran,
ئەویش بارزانیە.
which is Barzani.
بەڵام ئێوە ڕۆژاواییەکان سیاسەتمەدارە ڕۆژاوایەکان ئەمریکیەکان چیتان کرد بۆ ئەو کوردەی کە بەرامبەر ئێرانیش ڕاوەستا شەڕی داعشیشی کرد بەرامبەر هەشتی شەعبی
But
ڕاوەستاوە.
I would like to ask this question for the Western politicians, journalists, and intellectuals. What did you do for this Peshmerga, this Kurd who offended, who defeated ISIS?
بەداخەوە لەوە دەچێت تەنیا ئەمریکاش و ئەوروپاش کورد وەکو شەڕکەر ببینن.
I am sorry to say that, but I feel like America and the West sees Kurds just as weapon and fighters.
بەڵام ئەوە هەڵەیەکی گەورەیە.
But this is a big mistake.
کورد گەورەتر و بەهێزترە لە شەڕکەر بوون.
Kurds are much bigger than to see them as fighters only.
کورد جیۆپۆلیتیکێکی گەورەیە.
Kurdistan and Kurds are very wide geopolitic in the area.
دیموگرافیەکی گەورەی 60 ملیۆنیە.
And it's a wide demography with 60 million.
و لەو ناوچەیەدا تەنیا میلەتێکە کە هەم وەک میلەت و هەم وەکو سیاسەتمەدار و سەرکردەکانی لەگەڵ بەهاکانی ئازادیە لەگەڵ بەهاکانی
And
دیموکراسیە.
they're all the only defendants of humanity, human rights, and the freedom values in the region.
باش کورد لە باشووردا هەتاکو 2017 تحملی هەموو سیاسەتە غەڵەتەکانی بەغدای کرد.
Kurds until 2017 handled and went with the wrong policies of Baghdad.
ئەو سیاسەتمەدارە عێراقیانەی کە ڕۆژگارێک لە هەولێر نانی کوردیان دەخوارد.
Those Iraqi politicians and officials who were having our bread in Kurdistan in Erbil,
هەر کە تۆزێک هەستیان کرد هێزیان هەیە
when they knew that they have some power,
لەشکریان لە کورد کۆ کردەوە.
they tried to manipulate us and do everything with force.
و ئەوە نەک تەنیا دوای ڕێفراندۆم بەڵکو لە
It was
2012دا
not only after referendum what you saw, even it was before.
و ئەگەر ئەوانە بەقەت سەدام حوسێن هێزیان ببایە
If those had as much as power as Saddam Hussein had,
نەکرد حەلەبجەیەکیان دروست دەکرد بەڵکو هەموو کوردستان دەبووە حەلەبجە.
They would not even repeat Halabja, but I would like to tell you that they would make the whole Kurdish region another Halabja.
داخوا خەڵکی کوردستان گوناحیان کرد ڕێفراندۆمیان کرد
Was it a sin to vote for a referendum?
بەر لە هەموو شتێک ئایا چەمکی ڕێفراندۆم لای ئێمە لای کوردەکان لەدایک بووە یا لە ئەمریکا و ئوروپا لەدایک
At the
بووە.
first place, the word referendum itself was born among the Kurds or the West?
ئێمە زۆر بۆمان سەیرە کورد کارێکی کرد کە لە ئەمریکا و لە ئوروپا بەشێکە لە بەهاکانی دیموکراسی.
Kurd did something that gave value even more to that word referendum.
بەڵام دیتمان نە ئەمریکا پەشگیری کرد
But we saw that
نە ئوروپا پەشگیری
neither
کرد
America nor Europe supported
بە
us.
پێچەوانەوە بەریتانیا بوو بە سپۆنسەری ئێران و حیزبوڵڵا و هەشتی شعبی و
Despite of not supporting
هەموو
us,
تیرۆریستەکانی منتیقا
we became allies with our enemies with Hezbollah and
بوو بە
Hashd al-Shabi.
بوو بە پاڵپشتی هەموو تیرۆریستەکانی ڕۆژهەڵاتی
And they
ناوەڕاست
supported every terrorist groups against us.
بۆ ئەوەی تاکە شوێنێکی کە هەناسەی ئازادی و دموکراسی و حقوقی ئینسانی لێیە واتە هەولێر داگیر بکەن.
And they did that against a city who had all the complements of human rights, freedom and justice in.
زۆر جێی داغ بوو بۆ ئێمە کە بینیمان ئابرامزی ئەمریکی هەمەری ئەمریکی بووەتە سەر قافڵەی هێزەکانی سوپای پاسداران و حیزبوڵڵا بۆ داگیرکردنی
We
هەولێر.
were very sad to see the American weapons such as Abrams, which we destroyed in the fight, was leading the actions against the Kurds.
کوتیان کورد بۆیە ئێمە پەلاماری کورد دەدەین کە ڕێفراندۆمی کردووە بەڵام ڕێفراندۆم تاوان نەبوو ڕێفراندۆم حەقی خەڵکی کوردستان
They
بوو
said we did that because Kurds did the referendum.
بەڵام ئەوە درۆیەکە بە کۆمەلگای نێوتۆڵەتی دەڵێن
It was not a sin for us to start.
ڕێفراندۆمیش نەکرابایە ئەوان هێرشیان دەکردە
And I would
کەرکووک
like to tell you that
و
even
هێرشیان
without
دەکردە
the
هەولێر.
referendum, this would happen to Kurds.
من ساڵی 2015 زیاتر لە یەکجار کوتومە کەرکووک لەبەر مەترسی داگیرکردنی ئێراندایە.
I said that Kirkuk is under threat of being occupied by Iran in 2015, even before all this happened.
ئەوانەی ئێستا لە کەرکووک حکوم دەکەن عێراقی نین.
The ones who are ruling Kirkuk right now are not
حاکمی
Kirkukis.
ڕاستەقینەی کەرکووک قاسمی سولەیمانیە.
The real ruler there is Qasem Soleimani.
بۆیە ئەوە بۆ ئێمە جێی پرسیارە کە ئێوە هەمووتان بە دوای ئەو پرسیارەدا بگەڕێن.
So
بۆ
these are the questions that we have in our heads. Please search for the answers.
بەڵام ئەمە یەکەم جار نەبووە میلەتی کورد لە پێناوی ئامانجەکانی خۆیدا تووشی نسکۆ بووە.
But this is not the first time that we failed.
دەمەوێت ئەوە بڵێم بەڵێ ڕێفراندۆم و ئامانجی سربەخۆیی ئێستا لەسەر مێزی سەرکردەکانی کووردا و لە مێشک و دڵی هەموو ڕۆڵێکی کوردستاندایە.
The issue of referendum and independence is still on the tables as an answer to.
کۆتا قسەم دەمەوێت ئەوە بڵێم بۆ ئەوەی
Finally,
چە بۆ ئەوەی کوردەکانی باشوور بە ئامانجەکەیان بگەن چە بۆ ئەوەی عێراق استقراری تێدا دروست بێت
if for the reasons for having a stabilized Iraq and the Kurds gaining what they want, achieving what they want,
چە بۆ ئەوەی
for both sides,
شەڕ و ئاژاوە لە ڕۆژهەڵاتی ناوەڕاست نەمێنێ
and even for stabilizing the region, talking on a regional scale,
و ئیسرائیلیش لە ئەمنیەت و ئاسایشدا بەردەوامی بە حیات بدات
and to have Israel contained in peace and prosperity. even more.
یەک ڕێگا هەیە ئەویش لە بناغەوە هەڵتەکاندنی فاشیزمی ئێرانی
Which is the collapsing Iranian fascism.
سپاس بۆ ئێوە.
Thank you.
We have also another Peshmerga. I think the time is only there, so thank you very much for all of you. And at 2:30 we have another session, which is also very important regarding, I have to look at it, it's about the special case of Israel, Jews and Kurds. So thank you very much for all of you, and have some break, some lunch, and Zozo Spas. So, sure, yeah.